Everyone, my name is Gabriel, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to recreate this cool text effect. It is a chromatic smoking effect incorporated with a grunge texture within the text itself. So without further ado, let's get started. So we're going to open up a new Photoshop file. The dimensions of the file are going to be 7 inches by 5 inches, and the resolution of the file is going to be 300 pixels per inch. So click on create. All right, now that we're in the file itself, we're going to go to the left hand side and click on this T. This will allow us to create a new phrase, whichever you desire. I'm going to be doing smokin'. Then you can choose whichever color you like based on your preference. I personally like the pink one just because it pops out a bit more. And also what you can do is click on background, Command I, so that you can invert the color of the background layer so that the text pops out a bit more as well. Then you're going to want to enlarge your text a bit so that it'll be easier to work with when we apply the effects. Then you're going to want to center your text within the canvas itself as well. What I like to do is have the top of the text box align with the middle horizontal line of the canvas so that we have more space on the top for our smoke effect to take place. Alright, after doing so, you can choose whatever font you'd like. I personally like thicker fonts just because they are easier to work with. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to show you how to apply a stroke so that you can create a custom thickness for your font. So you're going to double click on your text layer. You're going to go to stroke, and you're going to click on outside, not inside because then you won't be able to see the actual stroke being applied, but the outside. You can play with this however you'd like. I personally don't like when the colors are touching, so just a little bit less than that. I think about there is good. And make sure that your color is the same color as the middle of your actual text, just so the text looks all like one text. Just like so. Doesn't have to be completely perfect per se. It's really just your preference. It'll get distorted later, so it won't mean as much, but if you get it as close to the actual color, it's just easier to work with and it's more presentable. All right, after doing so, you're going to right click on your text layer. You're going to click convert to smart object. This is going to allow us to apply our filters and effects. You're going to click on your text layer and click on filter. Going to go to blur and click on motion blur. You can kind of play with this however you'd like. If you go too far, you won't be able to actually read your phrase, so you kind of want to keep it on the lower end. The reason behind us wanting to have this blur effect is so that the edges of your text are blurry and kind of fading outwards. They have kind of a soft edge. Unlike this, we don't really want a hard edge because in the real world, we all know that when smoke is ascending upwards, it kind of fades out. It doesn't really just stop and then go. This is kind of emphasizing that smoke effect. So after we apply the blur, the motion blur, we're going to go back to blur and actually apply the Gaussian blur as well. This doesn't have the biggest change, but it does make it more foggy, which is kind of what we want. We don't want it too much, again, because we won't be able to read it. So let's keep it on the lower side and just apply a little bit so it's a bit more foggy and more smoky-like. All right, after applying both of our blurs, we're going to click on our text layer again, click on filter, and then we're going to go down. Sorry, not down. We're going to go up to liquefy. This is going to allow us to create that smoky effect I was speaking of earlier. So after that, you're going to want to click on the top left smudging tool. And personally, I like when the brush stroke is a bit bigger, just so you can grab more of the text. And you're going to click and hold and just bring this all the way up. I personally like it to be wavy to create that more organic, realistic smoking effect. If it just goes straight up, it doesn't look as real. So I like it to keep it as realistic as I can with this. After all, this is Photoshop. This process does take a little bit of time, so you just have to be rather patient when doing this. Also, you don't want to click too low or too in the center of your text, or else you'll distort it too much where you can't really read it. So just make sure to drag from the top end of your text so that you can keep the actual text intact and you can actually read it. Also, I noticed in the beginning photo that I showed within the video, I noticed that in some parts I did keep some of the smoke coming halfway or all the way up, and I kind of made them different. But for this one, I'd say just to bring them all the way up, just so we can have that smoky effect. If we were to have it go halfway up and whatnot, it would kind of give more of a fire flame effect, which isn't really what we're going for. So to keep the smoky effect, let's just kind of make these wavy and go all the way up. Just like so. All right, after you've done so, you can also take advantage of these two tools right here that are going to enable you to either pull or push out the strokes. This is the pucker tool, and this, I believe, if it'll show, is the bloat tool. So it'll either do that or it'll do that. It'll push or pull it out. So you could use a smaller brush for this and just kind of play with it how you like. You can even apply it to the text letters itself to make it more distorted and fun looking, you know, organic and imperfect, like a natural smoke is. It's not all just smooth. It's kind of rugged in some spots. Didn't like that one too much. Didn't like that one too much. All right. So after you've done that, you're going to click OK. You're going to have your kind of smoking effect. So after doing so, you're going to click on smoking your text layer yet again, and you're going to go to filter. And this time, you're going to go to distort and wave. The reason we're going to be doing wave is so that it creates that kind of wavy, smoky effect and emphasizes smoke even more. See on the how to look on the little preview over here. Play with the toggles a bit. See what works, what doesn't. Kind of like that, actually. Okay, so once you've chosen that, you'll click on this yet again, and then you can go to filter and liquefy again, and then you can play with these again. Just a little bit more to make it more organic. All right. So after you've applied all those filters, what you're going to do is you're going to click on your text layer again for the final time, and you're going to click Command J twice so that you have a total of 3 separate layers for your text layer. On the bottom layer, you're going to click on Filter and go to Blur and click Gaussian Blur again, and I'll explain why in 1 second. You're going to ramp that up just a little bit after what it was before. Then after that, you're going to click your top layer, double click that on the side, and you're going to go over to Gradient Overlay. Now, as you can see, there is an outline of pink. That is because we applied a Gaussian layer to the bottom text layer. That gives us this kind of highlighted border on the outside. It gives it kind of a nicer effect, like how smoke is when it fades out. So after doing so, you're going to choose your color that you'd like. I do want to stick with that pink and blue, so we're going to do pink and blue. You're going to click on the gradient bar, and you're going to click on the little square at the end of the gradient bar here. Then you're going to choose your color that you like. I like that pink. Double click. I like that blue. Actually, I kind of want to have a bit of a... Yeah, there you go. Then you're going to click OK once you've chosen your colors. Actually, no, go back. And then from here, after choosing your colors, you can play with this a little bit so that you can see it kind of goes down. The colors go down or go up. You can just choose whichever you'd like. I kind of like the pink to be halfway. All right. After doing so, you're going to click OK. And after using the gradient overlay, you're going to go over to satin. Satin is basically going to create a distortion within your text. So go to blend mode and you're going to click linear dodge add. Then you're going to click on this black text bar and just make it the same color as the other one. Sorry, as your other color. Either if it was pink or blue, you can choose whichever. I personally like it to be blue, just so we have that more chromatic feeling in the middle, as you can see in the preview box here and the text itself. And then you're going to go over to contour and you're going to click on this kind of more ragged, rounded edge. You're going to see why in 1 second. Then you're going to distance and size and bring those all the way down. And then you're going to slowly bring the distance up and you're going to see kind of the distortion happening now. It gives that kind of smoky effect as you bring the size up higher. When you see smoke ascending upwards, it's not always going to be one color slowly going up. It's going to kind of change colors and change hues as it ascends. So that's kind of the effect we're going for with this. You can play this however you'd like, see which works and what doesn't. All right. So after you've played with the satin and you've chosen what you've liked, you're going to click on bevel and emboss. This step isn't completely necessary for the smoking effect, but I do like to apply it just so it gives that more of a 3D popping effect. You're going to go to style and you're going to click on inner bevel. I'm not a big fan of the other options it gave us just because it doesn't look as good in my opinion. So we're going to be using inner bevel. The depth we do want to keep rather low, or else if we do too high, then it's going to take away from the color and make it more gray because the bevels are bigger. So let's keep it on the lower side. We just want it to pop out just a little bit, not too much, to make it 3D. The size we can leave low as well. If we do too high, it's going to kind of fade out and it won't be applied as well. So just keep it a bit low. And for the soften, we can just go a bit halfway just to soften the edges. And for shadow mode, we can use this as well. I like to have these shadows a bit more apparent, so I'll kind of put it a little bit higher just to pop out the darkness of the shadows a bit more. But for the rest of the settings, you can leave. And finally, for the layer style, you can use drop shadow. This will also pop out the shadows for the bevel as well. But if you do it too high, it'll take away from the highlighted borders. So you kind of just want to do it just a little bit, just to pop it out a bit more. And for the rest of the settings, you can leave as well. All right, so that's pretty much it for all of our effects. And now we're going to go on to our textures and hue and saturation. So what I like to do is I like to command click on all of my text layers and then hit Command E. That way we can merge all of them and it's just simpler to use and more cleaned up. Then we're going to create a new layer with hue and saturation, and I like to take the saturation a bit higher just to make those colors pop out a bit more and give that more chromatic feel. I don't like to go too high, just a little bit higher, just like so. And if you'd really like, you can play with hue also to see the different color variations that it gives. But I would like to just stick with pink and blue. All right, after doing such, you can also take use of your levels. And I like to play with the white a little bit to make the whites a bit brighter and more chromatic and saturated. But not too bright, or else it'll take away that distortion within the text. I think that's good. All right, Command click all your layers again, Command E to merge. Again, that's not a necessary step. It's just something I like to do to keep it more organized. All right, for our final step, we're going to create another layer. So what you'll need to do is you'll need to go on the internet and find a texture of your choosing, whether it's grunge or whatever, and you're going to download the image of that texture onto your computer. Then you're going to go with your new layer onto File. Then you're going to go to Place Embedded, and you're going to embed that texture onto your canvas. By the way, this is a font. I do not actually have a felony. So you're going to place that texture down. And I just like to shape it to the size of the canvas. All right, so after you have your texture, you can't really see your text quite yet, but I'll show you how to fix that. You're going to, right-click on your texture layer and click on Create Clipping Mask so that the texture layer applies to only your text layer. But it'll be covering all the colors. Now, how do we fix that too? We're going to click on this normal box right here, and we're going to play with these opacity settings. You can kind of choose, not opacity settings, sorry, that's the wrong word. You can choose which one you'd like. I like for the noise to be a bit more apparent. Kind of like this one a bit, but let's see what else they have. I do like this one. All right, so I'm going to be choosing soft light. Gives that more chromatic feel. And then we can just command click both, Command E to merge. And so that'll be it for the tutorial. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you've learned something new.